Today I'm going to share with you a very powerful technique that can transform relationships. It can transform families. It can bring so much healing to all the stuckness and the muck that gets brought up when you're living in a tight, close environment with each other. I just want to share with you that, families and friends that you're close to, they're often the people that bring out the best and the worst in you. Perhaps you already know this. And yet, when we can choose to be vulnerable with our expression, with the way that we are diving into ourselves and revealing more of ourselves, then our families feel safe, our friends feel safe, our loved ones feel safe. And then they can open up to us. And they stop attacking us because we're coming from our vulnerability. So the task here is how can you voice your vulnerability? This is the big goal, is how can you let go of your armor, your walls, your shields, everything that's blocking you, stopping you, from taking down your mask, from taking down your image, your need to be seen a certain way or viewed a certain way, and to just be real, to be in a state of authenticity, you can call it. So what I want to share with you is this technique that I learned years ago, and I started doing these sharing circles, and they became vulnerability circles, really. And it started off as a meditation circle, where you're just diving deep inside yourself, and whenever the silence is there, you use that silent time to go deeper into yourself, to find out where you are still stuck, where you're still holding on to patterns and things that don't want to let go, and then voicing it when it's your turn to speak. So in this vulnerability circle, I'm going to explain to you how to do this. Is you want to set like a sacred time to meet with you and your loved one. It could be one, could be two people, could be three people, could be five people, doesn't matter. But you just want to set this sacred time to meet, and you sit down in a circle on the couch, doesn't matter. And I suggest that you put a candle in the middle. And next to the candle, you put a rock or a crystal or a stick or some sort of talking symbol that's nice to hold on to. Feels good to grab it. And then you just sit and you wait until it's kind of like the heat of the silence sort of builds up this energy inside of us. And then all of a sudden we want to speak, we want to voice ourselves. And when you feel this movement to voice yourself, then you grab the talking crystal, the talking rock, whatever it is. And then whoever holds this talking symbol is the one who holds the space. They hold the stage, and everyone has to put all their attention on this person. They don't have to, they can have their eyes closed, but their energy and their attention, they're listening from a very deep place in themselves and resonating to how this person's energy or what their story is or whatever it is that resonates with them, and they mirror that inside themselves. They see how is this like me? What is this stirring in me? What is this moving inside my soul? And so you're listening from that space. You can also listen from sort of a universal space, as how is the divine consciousness hearing this person speak? And you can also listen from like a victim space or an angry space. You can listen from any different vantage point. But the whole key is just really to listen to this person and to really tune into what they're saying. And the person who's speaking their vulnerability, voicing their vulnerability, basically just needs to empty out. This is the whole goal, is to empty it all out. Just get out all the challenges, all the muck, all the stuff that doesn't want to be spoken, can't be spoken, is afraid to be spoken. It just is not, there's not space, there's not time in life to speak these things, whatever it is. So it's about talking about what you can't talk about. So the secret to giving a really deep, powerful, vulnerable sharing is to try to get away from the story that is backed by the feeling. Okay, but try to just share the feeling itself. I'm feeling this way, I'm noticing this this is what's happening for me. Sure, you can share your story about why this feeling is there, but be careful, because you can get on this long explanation and sharing that really has nothing to do with your vulnerability, to diving into your vulnerability. It can be a long story that it doesn't really actually share your vulnerability. So use your time wisely. Sometimes if somebody carries on and on as a big talker, what you want to do is you want to have the agreement of the circle to have this mercy symbol. So like you put your hands together in like a prayer position and just say mercy. And whenever someone says mercy to you, it means that you're just going off target on some story and you're not sharing your vulnerability. Okay, so this is a really key point to have in your vulnerability circle, that everybody agrees to this and that everybody's okay with it, because we all get lost in our stories. And this is not about sharing your story. This is about sharing your vulnerability and how can you expose more of who you are and get out of the mind, get out of the walls, and release these habits that we're totally unconscious of, about, protecting ourselves, protecting the ego from being seen. It's all these images and self-images and what we think other people think, we think that they think that we are, creates this facade, and we need to get out of that to share our vulnerability. Okay? So the next step is that is after you've emptied yourself out, and you can have a timer if you guys have a certain time that you need to be finished by, then you can calculate how many minutes each person gets. But ultimately, you just want to have as much time to empty yourself out. So maybe 10, 15, even 20 minutes per person of just emptying until they get to nothing. And so ultimately, when you're at this place of just, I have nothing more of my vulnerability to share, nothing more to expose, then you put that sacred object back into the center. And then it's open for the next person to share. And the key here is that there's no feedback. There's no feedback of any kind unless you ask for it. Okay, this is really important, because otherwise people are not going to feel safe to share and expose everything if they're given this unasked for advice, information, feedback, or just words that may be controlling or trying to fix or change somebody. So you don't give feedback unless asked for in these vulnerability circles. Really important. Okay. And so after you put your sharing stone back in the center, then you wait. You wait for the next person to get ready to pop. So it's like you sit in the silence and just waiting and waiting. It's kind of like the popcorn has to get hot enough before it explodes. And when you feel like there's something inside you that wants to share, that is just maybe doesn't want to share, is really pressured not to share, then that's your moment where you grab the talking stone. And then you just let it go, and you release and release and release. So after each person shares, the group takes this deep breath. It's a releasing breath, where you're releasing whatever that person shared, whatever emotions got stirred in you, you just, and you make a sound on the exhalation. And you can do this together, or you can do it individually, whatever you want, it's fine. Just make sure that after the person puts down their talking stone, that you all just take a deep breath at some point and just make a sound on the exhalation, just to signify that that person's energy, their emotions have been received and released. Very important part, that they feel received, they feel listened to, they feel heard, and they know that everyone has let go of whatever information that they shared. And so this is a very important part of the circle that allows people to let go. It helps to help each other let go. Okay? So after everybody's done and everybody's shared, it's really good to just hold hands and just breathe together. Just take some long exhalations that are just, releasing whatever was shared, letting it go from the circle, letting it go individually, letting it go from the connection with another person, that maybe there's tension with one other person in the group. So you're letting all of this go. And you're going into this space of just forgiveness and freedom and emptiness, that you're freeing yourself from the past. Okay? And you just hold hands, and then when you feel like you're good, then you let go of your hands, and you can bow to others, you can give them a hug, whatever. You can just cuddle. Cuddling is always a good after party for a vulnerability circle. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an incredible experience. It's good to do these vulnerability circles on a daily or a weekly basis or twice a week, as much as possible, really. To get into a ritual of it is really powerful, because it forces you to go deeper and deeper inside yourself, and eventually you get to this place where it's just like bliss. So that's something to really shoot for, is to get into this really blissful state of being with your friends, your family, your loved ones. So thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Be well.